Hey everyone, it's Haley. Welcome to Momlife, Vermont, and welcome to another episode of Confessions of a Bearded Lady. Now, I just want to let you guys know that I'm pretty sure the next few episodes of Confessions of a Bearded Lady are actually going to be different than most, because currently I am filming an ongoing episode of Confessions of a Bearded Lady where I am using this Go Fuzz Free hair inhibitor. Most of the hair removal and things like that are going to be on for this video for the next couple of months, the next month. The videos that are going to be coming forth will have probably a little bit less hair removal, and I guess if you guys like this style of video or less facial hair or more information that I'm giving you in a different format, then be sure to let me know down in the comments. Now, I just want to let you guys know that I am so happy you're here. I'm so happy that you guys have loved this series. Be sure to hit the big red subscribe button that is down there. The topic of today's video is, I guess, a little bit of update of things that had been going on the channel the last couple of months, series that I thought were going to happen, or maybe updates that you guys have been waiting for. So here's the video. Most of, I think, the series or things that I had been planning are things that either just needed to pause for a minute because we moved, or things that I am grateful that have happened at this point. One, Metformin. I did kind of like, I think, a couple videos about Metformin and my going back on Metformin and what I thought that was going to be. Well, at this point, I have gotten a new prescription for Metformin. I have kind of upped the dose to what my dosing was back in 2014-15, and part of the reason I did that was when I was taking the Metformin a couple of months ago, I had gotten to the dose that I was prescribed at that point, but wasn't getting the benefit or having the same feelings I was having back when I took it in 2015. I had found an old prescription and realized that my dose was like one pill off. So I was taking 500 less milligrams, which for the current pill that I was taking was one pill. I had upped that, and all expectations was to go back on it and start that process and building myself back up. If you guys have not seen that other video, check it out. But a little background, Metformin is one of those medicines where you gotta wean yourself onto it. So my goal is to take 3 pills a day, and I have to kind of start with 1 for a couple of weeks, move up to 2 for a couple of weeks, all the way up until I'm on 3. My total thought was to do that, and for some reason it just didn't work out. So the other thing about Metformin is it doesn't make your stomach feel the greatest, depending on your diet and just maybe unrelated things, but anyway, it just doesn't make your stomach feel good. And I have this, last time I was on it in 2014 and 15, I lived 5 minutes away from work. At work, even my bathroom from my office was closer. Now I have about an hour to an hour and 15-minute drive, and the walk to the bathroom is quite a ways away. So those two things have kind of made me go, I need to pause and really figure out, one, what makes my stomach upset with the Metformin, and just kind of like figure all of that out to make sure that I can basically get from my house in the morning to work in the morning without needing to go to the bathroom. Now, one of the other things that happened that is kind of I'm grateful that I hadn't started the Metformin, was the fact that we lost water in our home. So we lost water, like our well went dry because it got dry around here, and then the pipes were airbound. That's what it's called, airbound. So we didn't have water. And like bringing water in to, let's say, eat with and brush your teeth with was really, really simple. Finding a place to take a shower was even really, really simple during this whole thing. But finding a place to go to the bathroom that was nearby, and then also like taking care of our bathroom when we couldn't go anywheres, was like the biggest hassle of the whole anti-water, non-water situation. I was not anti-water, I wanted water. That I was like, imagine, like, I have stomach issues a little bit anyway. They're definitely better than they were about a year ago, but they're still there. So to think about the fact that I could have been on metformin during that, which was probably made the stomach issues like 10 times worse, I was grateful that I didn't have to deal with that when I did not have any water. The need for water would have been like 10 times more important if I had been on metformin. That, I guess, is the metformin update. I'm not currently on it. I'm grateful because of the water. I feel like the water is back now, but I am very, very concerned that it's going to go away again. So I think I'm going to wait a couple more weeks of, like, actually having water in the house and having wet, we're kind of in the wet season around here, having wet weather to make me feel... That bug wanted to say hello. Wait a couple of weeks, feel good about the water, and then I will hopefully start the metformin journey. And once I restart it, I will kind of do probably very similar videos to what I did the last time on the starting process, because I feel like many, many women stop metformin because of the stomach issues, and maybe are trying to figure out if they want to go back on it. And I guess I'll share my story with you on that journey. Be sure to subscribe to this channel right now if you are interested in that journey as it unfolds. Now something that I don't really know. So this is like a very personal, and I guess if you don't want to get deep down and dirty about my periods, then see you guys later. But if you do, then let's go on about it. So you kind of, like, I mean, this channel, this series is about PCOS, which is really kind of, I mean, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, like ovaries have to deal with the whole syndrome. So you gotta know that I'm gonna talk about my period every once in a while. One of the side effects, symptoms of PCOS is not having a period, having crazy, wacky, wild periods, having really heavy periods, having really light periods, having periods for months. It is a range of stuff that is a symptom and can be a byproduct of having PCOS. So when I first started my period, I started pretty young. They were definitely all over the place. And as I started to go into the realm of wanting to have a baby, I started tracking things. And it's when I really started tracking it back in 2014 and 15, which was right before I got pregnant with Kensley, where I saw that my periods were ranging from like 100 days. So basically I was having a period every quarter of the year. And then they would go kind of like every 40 days, but then it would go like 200 days, and then I'd have one like every, 35 days for 2 months, and then I'd be over here and I wouldn't have it again. So it was just kind of all over the place. Never in my entire life of having a period, which started probably when I was 10, did I have a 28-day cycle. If you don't know much about women's anatomy, their cycle, menstrual cycle, they often say should be 28 days to be normal, and I have to say I'm not sure how often women are actually on that cycle, but that's what they say. And doctors hold to it. When I was doing fertility with Kensley, or trying to have Kensley, and I was like, all right, I think my normal cycle is like 35 days because of tracking it for 6 months at that point and being on all this medicine. And they're like, no, your egg wouldn't be good. I have a 3-year-old in the other room that said otherwise, but it was just, even during that whole thing, I never had the 28-day cycle. So then comes 2 months ago. So right as I was going on the trip to Washington, D.C., I believe it was the D.C. section of that 2-week trip, because I was in Iowa and then I was in D.C. There's videos, check them out using that link right there. I started my period, and it was like, didn't I just stop my period? What is going on? I was so confused that I was like, something must be wrong. Something must be wrong. So I opened my app, I put in it, and I was like, oh, 28 days. So it's been 28 days. So period goes from the start of one to the start of the other. So it had been 28 days. So basically it means it had been 3 weeks since I had stopped bleeding to the starting of the new bleeding, because I bleed for about 7 days. Very TMI right there. Yeah, so I had the 28-day cycle, and I just thought, this is awful. There are women, some women, who have a cycle this quickly often. It baffled me. It completely baffled me. Then there's this month. So this month I was like, we're gonna have a while. It's gonna be a while. It's gonna just go back to the normal. The 28-day cycle that happened last month was a complete fluke. Well, then there was a couple days ago when I started my period, and I was like, must be like 35 days. It has to be 35 days. And at this point, I like looked at my app and I was like, 28 days. It's been 28 days. What magicalness is this? And I have to say, it was not very magical. Having one every 28 days kind of stinks, because you bleed for like 5 to 7 days. So you bleed for a week, then you get 3 weeks off, and then you bleed for a week. Really? That happens? That, like, it is just a very different experience to kind of be on a normal cycle. One of the things that's slightly nice about it is when I look at that app and see the periods of time that it's like, PMS should be happening here, zits should be happening here, you may be fertile in this window. Like, they may actually be true. Like, the timeline may actually be accurate. So it's weird. So I'm just interested to see, like, what is it, like, once is a fluke, once is a coincidence, twice is a pattern. Is that what they say? So is this like the start of a pattern? We don't know. If you guys happen to have PCOS, or maybe have just abnormal periods for some other reason, have you ever been like completely abnormal and then all of a sudden like kind of regulated in some way? And I mean, I don't know if everything else is happening. Like, I don't know if I'm ovulating or anything like that. I just happen to know that between bleed and bleed is 28 days. So it's a very just interesting experience. Something new. Welcome to 32. Something new. If you have PCOS, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your guys' stories about your abnormal periods, and if they stayed wonky, if they didn't stay wonky. I guess some of the other things that I think are important to share is I did breastfeed with Kensley, and I stopped breastfeeding maybe, let's see, around the time that I went to the doctors to see about having a baby, which is on pause at the moment, but that's definitely something for another video. But just know that update is that's paused. We moved. Life is stressful, so that will probably start back up again, but there'll definitely be another video about the whole story and situation. There's not really a situation, just the whole story, like where I was, what happened, why we stopped, and why we might continue. That story might happen. As I said at the beginning, a little bit different than the normal Confessions of a Bearded Lady series. No facial hair removal. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments. Give it a thumbs up. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so happy that you just are following me and you guys have shown me so much love. Bye-bye.